Modulating throttle a little bit. Cutting back on throttle, gliding her in, chopping throttle. Gotta tell you, that landing was awful. I was coming in way too fast. I was afraid I was going to stall it. And so having a conversation with model aviator Adam and talking about landing this plane, and he gave me some pointers on coming in lower. Also, I pushed my CG back a little bit and added a lot more flap than what I had in there initially as far as full flap. In this video, I'm going to go through a bunch of landings. I'm going to narrate those landings, and I'm going to talk about some of the things I'm doing. I'm going to show my current setup from a landing perspective, how I have that set up. I think some of the things I'm doing, well, most of the things, they will relate to other large airplanes. Big airplanes, they're intimidating. But big airplanes, I think, are much easier to fly. I know it's counterintuitive, but there's just something about it. They're easy planes to fly. This plane, I think, flies and lands better than any other EDF I have. I can do things with this, like keep the nose up and come in with a nice, solid landing, better than many of the other ones. And I can see it well because it's so dang big. Anyway, hey, if you have a question, leave a comment. If you like what I'm doing, hit that like button. That does help me out. If you're interested in this airplane, which I think you should get because it is the best EDF you'll own, there's an affiliate link in my description. If you click that, it helps out my channel. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Let's do some landing practice. Got a SMC 5300 high voltage in it. Little flap and takeoff just because. Get her going. She takes off with ease. Just quick. Do a quick speed run here just for fun. Let's do a little landing practice. I got to drop some altitude here, way too high. Modulating that throttle, full flap. Making my turn, backing off on throttle a little bit more. Here's where I start feeding in a little elevator. Elevator, get that nose up like that. That's what you want. And you can modulate that throttle. You can modulate that throttle when that nose is up, and I have found she just handles that really well. We'll slow down. Let's see if I can get her in a better position on this one. Get my approach, back off on throttle, start feeding in some throttle. Just feed in that little bit of elevator right there near the end to get the nose up and get a nice smooth, slow landing. Let's do it again. Pulling the flaps up on that a little bit, and then I'll put them back down here. And these are the full takeoff flaps. You know, they're not 50 millimeters, they're more like about 45 millimeters. Modulating the throttle, lining up, backing off throttle. I start lifting that nose up a little bit. Remember, throttle controls rate of descent. So when I'm saying modulate throttle, I am just, a little bit up and a little bit down just to get that nice smooth descent and smooth landing. All right, full flap, backing off throttle, got about half throttle. Make my turn, a nice wide turn. I don't want to take a sharp turn on it, at least for me. Backing off on throttle a little bit more, backing off on throttle. Here's where I start feeding in a little elevator and get the nose up. So landing this plane, really the secret, there's, clearly you got to have the right setup. All right, CG, a little more aft CG. Not super far back, but further back than they recommend, a little bit. The flap setting and modulating that throttle is really, you'll hear me and others, that fly these planes, modulating that throttle on the landing. and she just comes in as easy as can be. So the intimidation factor of these big planes, I get it. It's kind of scary. But when you start flying these larger planes, you'll see that you can see them better. At least for me in my old eyes, my old damaged eyes. I can see the plane better, and I can give it what it wants. Right down the middle. I mean, she just... So now, as you figure out landing this and get confident, I'm going to spend, a whole battery almost doing landings with her. Come in with a slightly different approach. Cutting back more on throttle. Got a little slow there. You saw the wing kind of drop a little bit on that one. It was too high when I was feeding in that elevator. Check my battery real quick. A lot of battery left. Kinda. Alright, let's do a final here. Coming in, feeding in my throttle, backing off on throttle a little bit, get my turn lining up. There she goes. Don't even need braking when you're landing like that with this thing. But it's fun to do every once in a while. Alright. Some examples of how to land this larger plane. Don't be intimidated. She flies a lot easier than a 70mm, I'll tell you that. Have a good one.